Okay, welcome to the match between Alexander and Adrian. They are both at the top of the Group B table with 2 wins each out of three. And this match will ultimately decide who will come out on top. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an extremely exciting match today. We have two games today, or two matches, and both of those matches will determine the group stage winners. And the group stage winners will obviously get a lot easier opponents in the ensuing knockout rounds. So first up is Adrian against Alexander. I think both of them have played exceptionally well so far. I think it could go really either way, and I'm just excited to see these games. What do you think?
Of course, same. We've seen Adrian kind of crush Shimon, but at the same time, I feel like Alexander did probably even more impressive against. What?
Yeah, I think they're gonna start.
Oh, okay. Right, we can check.
I guess he asked about the time control.
Oh yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
I guess they'll figure it out. They're supposed to start in a minute, and hopefully they will do that, and we'll get the games going. Yeah, hopefully they pick the right time control as well.
Yeah.
Should we? Still another has started.
Yeah. So let's check this out. So we've got Adrian as white against Alexander.
And Adrian starts with e4.
Will we see Bishop b5? No,
we have the Vienna this time. He's played, obviously, what Vidar was referring to. He's played this weird-looking Bishop b5 extremely early in a couple of his previous matches. But anyways, we should... Wait, he takes on e5 here. Oh yeah, that's...
Isn't that the common?
Yeah, that's
but knight f3 is rare. You usually play queen f3, I think.
Knight f3 is actually the old main line here. Nowadays, they usually go queen f3, but at either rate, this does not promise white that much. Here, black should probably play bishop c5 in order to provoke d4 and then go bishop b4. At least this is the theoretical path to equalizing, or maybe even actually gaining a slight advantage here with black.
Yeah.
This is not a particularly critical...
But let's not forget, this is blitz. It's not really easily determined by these very small 0.1, 0.2 inaccuracies.
That's very true. And they've thrown in this most knight c6, bishop b5 compared to a theoretical main line. I'm not actually quite sure how that affects the position. I mean, usually white just plays d4 here instantly. Yeah. I'm not sure really what the options are, so I'm not sure why he's pausing here. Maybe he's considering the move queen to e2. Now that you have developed the bishop to b5, this could be an option. But he plays d4. Bishop here.
So how will we defend the knight now? Perhaps bishop d2? Yeah. He takes on d2.
It feels like these moves should favor white, though, because
white
is a little bit closer to castling kingside now, and this knight... I mean, you could imagine a situation where you take it and you play a3 and you sort of clamp down on this square, and this bishop will be left a spectator.
Exactly. I'd probably go for short castle here rather than long, but we'll see. Adrian is kind of crazy. He might say, no, he got short castle, the probably more sound approach.
And I think this is a quite a decent idea, but the problem is this move a3. I like that move because now you will be forced more or less to either give this bishop up or put it very passively on b6, where it will be shut out of the game for quite a while. And he goes for such such a setup, that bishop is really a horrible piece.
Yeah.
But it can perhaps resurface at a later moment with c6, bishop c7.
Okay, so is there any hidden plan with this king h1 move, or is it purely positional? Obviously, the b6 bishop would stare down the king, but you could simply play king h1 after b4. So I'm not sure why he isn't going b4 here.
I suppose he argues that black will play a5 later and
Yeah.
create perhaps some sort of weakness on b4, and it's not so clear. It's not so clear that the bishop is that much worse on b6, because the only way to get it back is to play c6 anyways, and maybe you'd prefer to have that position with the pawn on b2.
Okay, so he's targeting this bishop now. It will probably return to e6 like Alexander played.
But no, I would, if I were Adrian, I would play
Yeah.
exactly. I would drop this bishop back to d3, because now, I mean, the king set is a bit of an issue, and that's what I was talking about with this bishop here. Honestly, I would definitely consider just giving it up at some point, because this one will be out of play. When the pieces start to transfer over here, that bishop is going to be a spectator. Now, I think you should throw in this one if you are able to, because otherwise that bishop is, you're just going to play a piece down on the king side.
It's starting to look a bit scary. Obviously, white is kind of taking control over this f5 square, but I'm not sure if it will be possible to play knight f5. And also, you're moving out of the pin, so knight e2, knight f4 might be an idea. Who knows?
I think this is definitely the idea. If he's given time now, he will use such an idea and try to get the knight to h5, and if he gets that, then the game is over. But I like this move c6 actually, because he's looking at playing bishop to d8, introducing, for example, now there's a huge threat of playing bishop d8. But actually he allowed the knight to f5, so maybe it was a better idea to just instantly put up the battery here with bishop to d8, forcing the queen back now.
So he takes an f5. I thought he would probably throw in bishop d8 at that point, but perhaps this is also playable.
Yeah, I mean, the issue for black is obviously this one. But, you know, somehow, if you could get those two moves in, all of a sudden, maybe black is even doing a little bit better.
Yeah, but the c5 move is interesting as well. You're undermining the pawn structure, and if white takes on c5, suddenly e5 is hanging, c5 is hanging. So I guess c3 is the most logical move. But this is also why I like playing b4 before, because it prevented all of these c7, c5 or c6, c5 ideas. But yeah, I mean, c3 is still rather rock solid.
But I do agree with you. It feels like the move, throwing in the moves b4, bishop b6 were definitely
It does
enough.
take. Okay, that's a bit surprising. Bishop c7.
Oh, this is a brilliant move.
Yeah,
bishop c7.
I agree.
Because now the bishop is, we talked about that bishop being a horrible piece, and now all of a sudden that bishop is going to be the strongest piece on the board.
Exactly.
And it feels like Adrian's attack is kind of going up in flames now, and the game is turning for sure. Now, for example, black can collect the pawn with queen takes c5. It's very hard for me to see any type of compensation here for white.
Yeah.
And I think black is just better. Brilliantly handled from Xhembulla, actually. I think that was not an easy position to have, and he really, without going into too serious time trouble, he managed to really save that one up. And now he has obviously good chances to press here. That being said, of course, white still has these attacking ideas, and you have to be a little bit careful all the time. It's easy to play knight e7 and blunder, or knight e5 and just give up a mate on h7.
Like knight f4 here might be an idea. Just a trick black into taking on e1 and then on f4.
It's an idea, but probably you're a bit too smart, because queen f2.
I mean, there is rook f1, but
you'd have to play rook f1, but then the b2 pawn is hanging, and basically all the pawns will go away. But what do you do here? I mean, it's very difficult.
Perhaps, I like this move. You either go to h5 or f5. The f5 square is very strong, and on h5 it targets this f6 bishop, which is all... Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was about to mention this move, because now you stop that idea with rook e3, plus you target the bishop.
Okay, so he takes on f6 in between. Yeah, this is interesting. Will Adrian be able to hold this? I doubt that, especially because he has quite low time. But I'm not sure. Maybe it's possible. The d5 pawn is isolated after all, and you've got a light square bishop to target it.
I think this is definitely holdable because it's not easy to do anything with these two f pawns, and the d5 pawn will be targeted, as you mentioned, with rook to d1. It's definitely not an easy position to win for Alex.
On the other hand, this h3 h2 pawn structure is kind of compensating for black's bad pawn structure. So bishop g4 defends h3 while also attacking the f4 knight. We got knight. Okay, but now white is suddenly getting some compensation, but also loses a pawn in the process. But b7 is hanging though.
But you can go knight c4 and...
Oh, knight d6.
Oh yeah, bishop d7.
Yeah, but rook e1.
Rook e1 wins the game on the spot. Is he gonna find it? No, he doesn't. He missed. Wow, that's. But it's honestly, it's a bit of a difficult move to find. I didn't spot it either instantly. Still, it looks pretty decent. This pawn was hanging as well. He decides not to take it.
Okay, we've got a time scramble here. Although I think Xhembulla should win this.
No, but this is not easy anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Now he drops
it's anyone's game, honestly.
This could go either way.
But there's a knight in time pressure, Knights are very tricky.
That's true, but I think
the white is not even a pawn down now.
And also now it's a clean draw.
Yeah, will this be a draw? Or will we see maybe some tricks? I mean, bishop e6. Yeah, 95 defense.
It's very easy to blunder something here.
Yeah.
For example, there was the interesting rook d1 to a1. I'm not sure how that would have been. Now he's threatening knight f3, so Adrian prevents it. Very understandably. Pushes the pawn to h4 in order to force some weaknesses over here. And now he's gonna bring the king in.
I mean, this is definitely practically hard for black. I mean, I'm not sure. I would be panicking if I was Adrian right now.
Yeah, it's very, very easy to
okay.
Knight.
Yeah.
King f2. Oh wow, that's checkmate.
Yeah, bishop d3 is only a temporary defense.
But you can play rook e2. Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
You gotta do something like that if you want to keep the rooks on the board.
Surely there has to be something.
And he plays knight d3, and he's gonna play knight. No, he swaps.
This is still winning though. The king now is completely.
He's gonna bring the knight to f4. Maybe take this pawn. This one is a passer as well.
Yeah. Oh wait, bishop b1.
Okay. Bishop b1 would have been much better. But shouldn't there be some stalemate, like f3 bishop? But that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can't take it because king takes, and you walk out of the stalemate.
Yeah.
Although maybe that could be a fortress,
I don't think so. You can put the knight on f2, right? Unless it's like...
he does that. Now he goes for this.
Yeah, but it's the same. But
okay. you could have taken with
either. No, knight d3 or knight. Okay.
He just collects this one.
That's fair enough. And now knight f2 h3. I was thinking, but no.
And now, he plays king h3 and knight.
Okay, he's just gonna take the h2 pawn. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's just important to not screw this up by forgetting that a knight can't triangulate. But it is.
He wins the game. What a game that was!
Yeah.
Wow. That was really. Okay, we should obviously turn the board. So 1-0 to and what?
Didn't you face this once?
No, but f5 here is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think the point is that if you take, you're basically losing. But if you don't take, you're basically winning. So.
What? I've never seen this before. f5 here? Is that possible?
Yeah,
I've
seen possible.
I've seen f5 after bishop b5. There is common.
Yeah. I mean,
I've seen
f5.
Possible, but I've seen f5 here as well, like d6, d4, f5. Yeah. I've seen that as well. But that's not possible.
It's not possible, technically speaking, but it is like a blitz line. People play it. That can't be possible.
But he's blitzed it out.
There's no way this is even close to compensating for
what is
and pawn.
Knight f6.
Okay,
but I mean, you had to because queen h5 was a threat. Knight c6
maybe if you played queen d6 or bishop f4 is kind of a problem.
I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah.
But he's gonna argue that he has compensation against the king here, and he's gonna just bring everything and hope for a checkmate. Like knight is gonna go here, queen will swing around, and then he's gonna. I mean, it's scary. In all honesty, this is scary because this light square bishop is sort of a key defender, and we saw this in the exact same kind of structure we had in the last game, and there Alexander managed to bring his bishop around via.
But he has no fear. He just takes another pawn. I mean, a pawn is a pawn, and
he's gonna bring the bishop here most likely to.
Yeah, I guess h5, h4 might be an idea, but
yeah. So he starts with this. I guess that's natural because bishop h3, bishop g4 were serious ideas. Now the knight has entered. Now probably the bishop could be dropped back, but as you said, h5. There are also ideas of e3 in some moments, or bishop. Actually, bishop b5 is a pretty serious threat. So he plays queen e2. And now he just tries to swap this key defender on g3. That's perhaps why you should not grab such pawns.
Yeah.
Because now you can't get back. And if you're forced to weaken the light squares with g3, which you probably are forced to do, unless you play this move.
But can't you just take... Oh, right. If takes, knight takes, rook takes, there's pawn takes.
Exactly. What Vidar is saying is that if you take this, then you can take with the pawn, and the queen covers the h2 pawn, which means that you would not lose the game. You can obviously take this pawn. This is a free pawn.
True.
But after rook f4, queen f4, white would at least manage to get some pieces off the board.
Yeah, and also the queen would defending the second rank, so just g3, queen h6 doesn't threaten anything. But we've got this instead.
So there's some pressure here, but the knight currently does a good job protecting it. One idea could be perhaps to bring this bishop around to e4, but first of all, obviously it's white to play, and you gotta make a move. But I would be really scared here with white.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to look out for knight f2 ideas as well. Goes there, but now the knight is pinned, and also like knight f2, knight g4, bishop g4.
Yeah, this looks
on the other hand
incredibly poor.
Yeah,
for white, I think this is a.
What happens if knight f2, and then you just take the knight?
I think you should play king g2.
Bishop g4.
And I think you should play king g2 now, and after knight f2 you should take it, and then probably swap queens. But
if that's possible, because there's also these f3.
Yeah, that's true. That is stuff. That's horrible. You'd have to get rid of this one and then take it again. That's too risky. Yeah. He goes king g1. Knight f2. He wants to move the knight, perhaps.
Knight h3 checkmate.
Yeah, you can't move the knight. And also queen h1.
Oh, that's a
but queen h1 is checkmating.
Oh, that's true. Oh, I found it. Okay, that's an interesting opening, I must say.
That's honestly ridiculous. How does that even work? That's just not. No.
Did we go into the second game? Yeah, we did. Okay, it's correct colors and everything.
And now he opens for a much more.
He's gonna go rook g1 next.
Yeah, I think you could see Alex on the camera being extremely confused on how he lost that game so quickly. And now he all of a sudden he just switches to a calm Catalan, out of nowhere really. I guess he just decided that okay, I won one last time, and now let's not do anything like that again. So you should know a little bit about this.
No, or well, I kind of knew, but that's you could play. What was it? I don't know. But I know that Adrian played something very similar against Alexander Nord in junior Swedish chess championship back in, what was it? 2022?
2022, but there
I played h6 instead of e6, so it was kind of different. Except it wasn't this move order, but I don't think e5 is... maybe it's good.
I mean, it's definitely one of the ideas, but... Yeah. But I suppose you take with the pawn here, honestly, because queen takes f6, and you need to see that Adrian is thinking a little bit. Okay, actually, he's not thinking. He played knight d5 and he played c4.
Okay, so we've got kind of like a... I'm not sure how to assess this.
That's actually a very surprising move, but
yeah, I agree.
Because now the structure is a bit... But I guess he's playing for the fact that the black king is still in the middle, and you do have the open b file, and this is a creative way of attacking. If you look at it, this bishop doesn't really have any good squares to go to. I mean, you could go to e7, but there white could take it, but he goes bishop to a3, not because the bishop is particularly good here, but he just wants to develop the bishop, and now he's able to castle, and then at some point the bishop might even drop back. But you also have these ideas of bishop b2 takes on c3 if the knight were to be removed. If I were black, I would definitely consider trying to get rid of that active knight with knight e7. But honestly, it doesn't do much because rook d1, and you really can't take that because then white will be given very strong pawns. So I don't know. I feel like, especially in blitz, with the two knights and the bishop on a3 being very much out of play, I have a feeling that that this could be very unpleasant for black to play in such a format.
Yeah. Right. So we have, what do we have?
He played queen to c8 here, eyeballing maybe bishop h3, but such a move is kind of not a good move because...
Yeah, I mean, the g2 bishop isn't that good.
Yeah, the g2 bishop is probably white's worst piece, and this one is black's best. So
exactly.
So definitely bishop h3 is not the right plan here.
But his idea was also kind of to just move the queen out of the d file, because rook d1 was coming either way. And also kind of, I guess, putting pressure on c3. If you manage to go like knight e7 and exchange off those knights, c3 might bang in the end.
And you can see that also with his move rook d8. He does obviously not go for bishop h3 because he knows that such a trade is not good for him, but he instead opts to use this free up square for his rook. And now rook to d2, preparing a double stack on the d file, and b6 played, so he wants to get the queen to b7. Very slow game so far. Definitely nothing like the last game. I would probably drop this bishop back at some point just because...
You gotta look out for, like, you know, queen c6, queen c6, knight e7 ideas, but currently the a3 bishop is defending the e7 square.
Honestly, I would just drop this one back because this is a loose piece and it feels like at some point it will be, and he does exactly that. I can't tell you exactly why, but at some point it feels like this bishop is going to be trapped or attacked or, you know, lost somehow, so it makes a lot of sense, I think, to drop it back to f8.
Yeah. White would love to play knight f6 here with a discovery attack, but currently the c6 knight is defending. I'm kind of surprised by that. I thought bishop g4 was a problem here, or maybe not.
I mean, in general, I'm not super impressed with the move f4 because it feels like opening the position when black has the bishop pair is not really the right way to go.
Yeah, I mean, if black managed to get rid of the b3 knight, then bishop c5 might become quite a problem for...
Yeah, and he's played the move...
But b6... Oh, no. Does b6 hang?
No, because d2
yeah,
and
but
then
the
bishop,
knight is defending
bishop c5.
Oh, right.
So that was not hanging. And now... Okay, I guess what Adrian is saying is I have these nice pawns, and actually the move a6 is a bit strange because it doesn't really accomplish much, and this queen is about to go to g3 now.
Yeah.
For example, now you could go queen g3, but maybe you take on d5 then, and you argue that...
That's kind of a risky move because you can take with the pawn maybe and push d6.
Oh, that's true, and then you open this very long domain. So maybe he just drops it back. But
f5, knight f6.
Knight f6 is there obviously, but king h8.
Yeah, the problem is that you'd want the rook on d1 now, but you can't really. Maybe you can go just rook d1. I mean, it looks kind of scary for black. The queen on b7 isn't particularly active, at least compared to white's queen.
Plays this one. I like this one. Now knight is gonna join the attack with knight d4 very soon. Yeah, I have this move a6 is something I dislike because the queen was... It looked menacing on b5 really, but really here is where it wanted to be, and you kind of wasted a move here with a6, which could be very costly. So you would probably much rather have had this position with the rook on c8, and you could have taken on c4 and gotten all kinds of counterplay. But now with the pawn on a6 instead, you're under pressure, and
it's kind of hard to find a square for the black pieces. I mean, he's cramped. You can't really develop the f8 bishop. Where's the knight going? And it's not like quite...
And now there's a huge threat of knight f6 as well.
Yeah, of course.
So you have to step out of it with king h8. But I agree, this feels like Adrian is very, very close to deciding this game. He plays f5. Now look at these pawns.
Maybe d6, e5?
Yeah, so he plays knight c6 to cover that.
Right.
But obviously also this pawn is very far advanced. If you could somehow take it, that would be really nice. And
but it's also defended by like 19 points worth of material. So
he goes e5. He just goes for it now. So
I wouldn't take on c6 here just to regain the pawn because your own king is kind of weak.
Yeah, he's more likely to combine it with an f6 type of idea. Rook is gonna is gonna swing across to g2. But also this knight is very out of play. I'm confused why he didn't bring it in to the game earlier when he had the chance, because now this knight is sort of just a spectator.
Yeah.
And even if he manages an attack over on the king side, it feels like you're kind of committing a crime to this knight.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't see anything immediate here. So.
I would try to... I mean, I would love to go queen h4, queen g5 to threaten d7, followed by bishop takes c6, but that's not really possible, because black will just go queen f6 and...
He's given up. That is not a good decision, I think.
Maybe bishop d5 in between, but no, then you can defend the knight with the queen.
I think you take it and then go bishop d5.
Yeah,
that would be my way to do it. He just takes on b3. That was White's problem piece, so I don't really understand why you would go ahead and trade it that easily.
But how do you defend d6 now? That makes sense.
And I mean, you can always push it. I mean, it's impossible.
You couldn't do it last move because c6 would be hanging, and now f5 is a problem. He goes d7, bishop c8. Wow.
But this is such a dangerous constellation for black, because at some point there will be bishops. On the other hand, this one is not playing.
That's true.
So if this bishop could all of a sudden...
But the d8 rook isn't playing particularly much either, so...
That's true. If you go bishop d4, I think you just take it.
Yeah,
exactly. This is probably not so good news for...
But how do you break through as white? Because you can't really...
In 4 seconds, you can try to...
g1. I mean, he's going for queen g6, I guess, and then trying to...
But there you can always take on d7.
That's true. But now queen g6... But rook takes pawn. That's a problem. Okay, now I feel like Alexander is...
Oh, and he missed rook d7 probably. I guess that's what he missed. And now this... Yeah, now Alexander is winning for sure.
Yeah, the attack backfired. And suddenly Alexander...
But that was a very strange... turn of events, because it was impossible to lose, like from Adrian's position.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly wasn't, but...
No, but it was, and then he decided to just go for it, and it was a horrible decision, probably. Because he had such... I mean, he could have gone for it later and just improved the pieces, and now instead he's down by a point. But obviously, as we expected, the match is extremely tight. It's no player is really better than the other, and it will be a very interesting match until the end, I think. And now at least we have a more respectable opening so far.
F5? No.
I'm assuming that he's going for the Marshall Gambit, which he has a history of playing. But no, he goes for a Archangel maybe with Bishop c5. This is at least what I'm expecting. Otherwise, the move b5. Okay, you can also play Bishop b7. But...
I wouldn't be too surprised if he plays some weird sort of Marshall anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he does always play d5. Yeah. He will never put the pawn on
and
d6.
He rarely plays like the main Marshall line. He always plays a weird sideline and argues like, sure, it's plus 0.8, but you know, I've got practical compensation here.
And also, I think the key, Adrian has played the Spanish for as long as I've known him with black, and his kind of things, he never... Usually in the Spanish you put the pawn on d6, but he never does it. Like, he always wants the pawn on d5, and he's not gonna agree on putting the pawn to d6. Not even... I mean, he will go d5. He's not putting the pawn on d6. He never does. Even if he gives up material, he will never put the pawn on there. And though I do believe that this is actually one of the better versions he's had in this.
Yeah.
He's had a couple of horrendous versions of playing d5, but he does it anyways.
Yeah.
And with good results, I should say. The first time I played him with white in the Spanish, he absolutely demolished me in like 20 moves or something in this line. And that was a classical game as well. So
yeah. I'm not sure. Like, what comes to mind is his game against William in this tournament, but I don't know if you remember that. I'm not even sure if he was white or black, actually. But one of the sides basically just forgot to defend the a8 rook after an a4 move, and had to give up both like b5 and a6 pawn.
Oh yeah, and then that side won.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was like totally.
Yeah, I remember that. But I think this is somewhat respectable, because knight a5, this is typical. You wanna get that bishop, and now I think d5 as well. I mean, it makes sense because this pawn is hanging, and then I like this move b3. He's obviously he's losing a pawn, but the point is that this bishop is now sort of in prison, and the only way to get it back out would be to just throw the pawn back, and then you just swap pawns. That being said, he now managed to trade those bishops, so b4 now would not come at the loss of a pawn, so maybe Adrian should play the move. Queen to e7.
What would happen on like queen b6, putting pressure on e3 and b3, but I don't know.
I suppose queen to d4 was a bit of an reply there.
True.
Now he's looking to quickly bring the pieces. But I like what Alexander has done here as well. It's a very weird game. You could take this knight, which he does, because obviously black did not miss that the queen was hanging, but his own queen will be hanging as well, so he has to take back. And now it might look weird to place the queen here, but again, he's looking for this b4 move in order to activate this one.
Right. So
this one is played because if you now were to bring the bishop around this way, I can take on b3. And queen g3, he's looking now at the black king, perhaps eyeballing knight e5, so Adrian steps out of it. But now knight e5 is possible, and that would force the rook down to d2, but maybe it's happy on d2 actually.
So black would love to manage to apply some pressure on e3, perhaps by playing, I don't know, you would maybe want to play queen a7, but it's not really working because f6 is hanging, I guess. Right now he is threatening bishop e5 almost, knight e5 almost, because rook d2 is no longer an option, but Adrian does not care. So he's allowed this. I guess he's gonna take
knight h5 is, and he isn't knight h5 winning a piece here?
Maybe.
Maybe he just missed knight h5, honestly, because.
But is it winning a piece? Queen g4, queen e5, rook f5, or queen b2? Oops.
Yeah, this is really bad news. That was a premature. I think bringing the rook would probably be a pretty large advantage to white, but after this, and the unfortunate part is that there's no way to defend this one, so he's forced more or less to give up the queen. Now it's a matter of time because this bishop is dead, and he'll take and he'll play b4, I suppose, and then he'll try to create something towards f7, but it's a long shot for sure. You have to take this, I think. You cannot do anything else. He does have something
There's
else.
not much you can do, technically speaking.
No, but honestly, if you take this and play b4...
This is still a bit tricky though, because you're gonna have to look out for rook f7 stuff in b4, but it doesn't really...
But this is just not working, because like if you take... Imagine all those exchanges, you could play b4, pinning the rook, but the problem is you just move out of it, and after this long line, black is just a piece up still, so... He decides to take with the knight, but
maybe
honestly...
b4 first, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, but this is... If you took with the rook, you would have just discouraged that option completely, because the rook was hanging as well.
Sure.
But this is just over, and I'm expecting him to resign at any moment. As long as you don't move this knight, that would be a pretty poor idea. Knight e7 here is probably one of the worst moves.
Okay, so he sacrifices d5, but it doesn't really
It
sacrifice
looks like
anything.
maybe white wins back a piece here, but unfortunately the queen comes to d1 with the checkmate, so Xhembulla resigns. White has won a total of 0 games so far. I should not flip that one.
Yeah.
Black wins in every single game so far, and we have a 2-2 match. And this is what we expected. Obviously, both these guys pretty much demolished their opposition so far. And now we have a regular Queen's Indian. So I think Adrian is sensing that his opponent here is somewhat of a serious opponent, and he's opting for more serious lines than he has done previously in the tournament.
Yeah.
This is a line I've had against Adrian countless of times as well. I usually take this pawn and then I take it with the knight.
I should probably move in a bit more.
Yeah.
Right.
But this is very strange.
I mean, I have never played this.
I mean, the usual way it goes is you take this and then you castle and you bring a rook to d1 and the game goes on. But castling here is very strange. I've never seen it. Because, I mean, the problem for black... And he... Oh my god, he gives up.
I mean, you can't really take on c4 because d5. Not saying this is working, but I don't know. Maybe bishop f4.
But I mean, I just don't see why. Like, is he sacrificing a pawn just to sacrifice a pawn, or
Probably.
okay, I suppose you do have some.
Yeah, of course you have some compensation. The question is whether is it enough for 2 pawns or is it only enough for 1 pawn?
He's gonna throw stuff. Now I would be very worried about this tactic. I would have played knight b to d7.
Yeah, knight d5, that's really strong, I think. It's important to not go e4 first because then you're allowing d4 stuff.
But you gotta watch. Oh no, you can't. I was gonna say you gotta watch out for bishop takes e4, but
that doesn't really help.
But after queen takes e4, the rook is hanging.
Yeah.
Which is horrible news. Now I think Adrian is close to winning. I think clearly the move knight to d7 was better here because you should really try to block out the d file here. And now after this, it's very, very tough for Alexander to play now because even
I guess he can play like knight c6.
You gotta do that. And maybe you can even actually force simplifications if you wanna.
Oh right, you can play
knight
there.
b4 there. Actually, that's maybe interesting. You gotta play knight c6, and rook takes d5 is forced.
It takes by pawn. So I guess I was thinking knight d4 here as black.
I also thought that. I think now at least black is definitely in the game. Probably there was some sort of a knight b4, or maybe you can actually just move.
Yeah, I was thinking just queen e7 or
and
queen
it's
c7
not
is
that
fine.
bad.
Okay, interesting.
So actually, we just have a very interesting game at our hands here.
It's opposite color bishop. So if all the heavy pieces get exchanged, this will most likely be a draw.
But I feel like black is honestly pressing because this bishop is more active than the bishop on f3, and
that's true.
It's very difficult to push this pawn on d5. But with the bishop here, for example, one idea would be to bring the pawn to h4, and if you can take on g3, all of a sudden you would have ideas like that. But
yeah, I'd go just king g2, h4 is white, and also
you don't even need h4, you just king g2, and you kind of take out.
Yeah,
all the
in this instance particularly, I don't think the queen is such a good blocker because you can just go queen c6 and. How is white going to defend? You can't go rook d8 here because then
rook d8 would be a bit of an unfortunate.
Any rook doesn't work because if you go with the e rook, then also rook e8 is a problem.
Oh, that's true, and you can't. Oh,
that's kind of why. I mean, bishop e5 maybe is an idea.
You gotta do that.
But it's not easy. You definitely don't want to take the queen.
You could probably as well and try to block it on c7.
Yeah, I mean it's maybe possible, but it's not very practical.
You don't want to have to do that. Yeah, that's true. Very nice maneuver from Adrian, queen b5 to c6. Because as we were pointing out, if you, for example, play the logical rook d8, as you said, rook e8 would be a bit of an unfortunate wake-up call for black. So he placed this move bishop e5. I think that was forced, but now you could look to maybe bring this bishop somewhere and play f4. That would be one idea. You've always got to look out for this one as well.
Yeah.
It's not that ridiculous because you do get the pawn pushed to d6, but he instead tries to double up, and I suppose you try to kick that queen out while you can with rook c8 now. That's why I was kind of advocating bishop g4 in order to prevent the rook from joining the game with rook c8. Adrian backs off, but
exchanging the queens would just probably lead to a draw.
Now maybe you can go back bishop d4 actually, and you get the.
On the other hand, I guess you can take on e8 and then either a7 or c6 with the queen. So it's still not easy.
One other idea would be obviously to bring a rook like that.
You don't have that much time as black because if white managed to play rook e1, that's kind of a problem.
But it's not that much of a problem, is it? You can always play f6.
That's true. On the other hand, that does kind of weaken the...
He plays for this idea that I was mentioning with bringing the rooks to the e-file. But this is a bit risky because there is sort of ideas happening here. And I like this move as well, queen h4.
But I still would try to go queen c6 here. I'm not sure.
But queen c6 does not achieve much with the bishop on e5.
Yeah, that's
the problem,
true.
because you can always take it as well.
Yeah, unless you're able to take on e5, that is, which could be a point. If you play queen c6, you're immediately threatening rook takes e5, right?
But if you ever go queen c6, I immediately take it and I drop back.
That's true.
So you don't really have much there. So he's looking to sort of just take it slow here, because obviously, and I think this is the right call, do not do anything hesitant, just try to play subtle most, because black has very little time, and such an idea could very easily result in a loss, for example, with queen e4 to h7, or queen h3 to f5 to h7, which I guess is...
And bishop e4, if you manage to get that in, you know?
That would be a dream for white.
Well, that's kind of the thing with these opposite color bishop positions. They're either really drawish...
Oh, he plays bishop e4 immediately. He doesn't even swap rooks.
Okay.
That's incredibly risky.
I mean, what else are you supposed to do? Okay, yeah.
Oh, but he solves it. Wow.
Damn.
That's incredible defense. Because now, obviously, the problem is you would like to keep the queens on with white, but you just can't, because the rook is falling. So I think you're forced to capture here, and after king takes, drop the rook back, and now the king is...
Your king e5 might be a bit risky.
Yeah, you would like to put the king there, but maybe you can't. But even so, king e5, there wasn't too much.
That's true.
Rook e5 is a very strange move.
But let's not forget that Adrian has kind of a history of losing very drawish opposite color bishop endgames in this tournament. If you remember against William.
But okay, so he's gonna have to put the rook on h6 now.
On the other hand, that's kind of scary, you know.
This is really scary.
Yeah, that's more scary.
Although
king h8? Wait, king h8, bishop f5?
No, but there was a bishop.
Oh, of course. Oh, so. I would have so blundered that.
Yeah, I would have also blundered that. But this is such a risky move to play with. Like, why would you give up defense of your own bishop and like allow everything? He's really... Xhembulla seems to be really confident in his playing skills here. Oh, I thought he had blundered rook h8 once again.
I'm kind of surprised he actually... Or I guess it... Can you do anything here?
You're almost blundering now.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, bishop e5, but there's king takes f7, so you'd love to move the rook out of the way first. Whoa! Oh, the rook is defended.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought it was a massive.
No, it's fine, because I was thinking about that idea actually.
Oh, really?
You should not play king g3 here either. that would be a really poor way to lose as well.
I mean, there is...
So he goes for this, and he just agrees to the draw.
He's gonna play on. Mark my words. They're gonna play for like until the 50 move rule.
No, you cannot. I mean, this is just a draw. You
Yes.
put the king here and you never lose. They're gonna create a draw at any moment. I'm pretty sure. This is so much more
Unless there's
drawn.
king h4, king g3.
This is so much more drawn than the last game. So yeah, they agreed to draw, and we still have a tied match. But this was the first time that white managed to hold the draw.
That's true.
Which is interesting. And we see yet another e5 and knight c6, and we have another bishop c4, and he goes for f5 again. So he repeats this line.
Wait, what did he play last?
He played d4, and that's, I think, forced. You should play d4.
I mean, it's definitely the best move.
And now he played this one. I wonder if knight takes e5 is even the best.
I mean, this has to be the best. What happens? Okay, so queen h5 against g6, knight takes knight f6.
He goes for this again. And knight f6 is to be expected. So he's basically saying that he believes that... Okay, no, but now he actually switches up and plays c4. So he doesn't even take this one, but he's saying... Actually, that's a very good pragmatic decision, I feel like. And this is also a very good pragmatic decision. But maybe now you take on c6.
What do you do then? Do you play queen d7 or?
That doesn't work. The bishop is protected.
Oh. Oops. I mean, I guess you would just.
I think knight takes c6 was a much stronger version of the same position.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the a6 move isn't really helping black, so yeah.
I think he's a bit too consistent with not having the sections. Because now I think I think black could even be better. I think either here or on the last move there was a very
There's
good
no way
chance.
black is better. I mean,
Now I think black is honestly for choice. Bishop d6,
Yeah.
this king is super weak, and
That's
white
true.
got nothing. Like,
and the light square bishop is removed anyway. I mean, the entire point
Although-
was
these are unpleasant ideas.
true.
For example, castling now queen c4. I mean, that would be a very interesting position if they go. And he goes for it.
Of course.
But maybe... No, he's not going to block that. He has to play king h8. And he goes for this.
Will he be adamant to not win the exchange here, Alexander? Because, I mean, he just...
But I mean, it's a better version than he had last time because the rook is not in the game. And it takes
Yeah,
a
of
lot
course.
of time to bring this one into it.
This should just be objectively winning for black.
Yeah, I mean, you
for white.
cannot Greek gift, obviously, with the queen on f7.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And
almost
next-
checkmating you.
Next white is probably playing bishop g5. And if you can do that, that would be very bad news. So probably you should get the bishop developed, because then after bishop g5 you can at least maybe think about taking on h2.
Another problem would be, let's say, if you play knight d5, bishop g5 is still possible because it's technically defended. Queen takes queen e8 would be checkmate.
He plays the knight out to c3 first of all. What you should be careful about is allowing the rook to f8, because
Yeah, of
if the rook is able to go to f8, you have a very bad position.
The problem
I
is...
would maybe have gone bishop g5, bishop h2, king h1.
Oops.
Whoa.
Okay,
So
so
he gives up the f5 bishop,
that's actually interesting though.
but he's threatening
On the other hand, just
takes and queen
g3, what do you do? Like,
I think h3 is even more interesting, because what do you do? Like bishop g6, but then queen goes to e6 and the knight is kind of forced backwards. Because if you take this bishop, queen h4 is the idea.
we'll just take on h2 first, maybe.
Yeah, I meant obviously take on h2 and then queen h4.
Yeah.
But actually queen g5 in that position, and black resigns.
They do?
Almost. Yeah, because you can't do anything with the pin because I'm attacking your queen.
Maybe. I'm not
I
sure.
honestly think so. Instead, it's very understandable that he goes for this, but I think honestly, queen f5, you have to take and play queen h4, and then I play queen to g5.
Alright,
You have to take on f2, but I take, and take the bishop, and I win.
that's true.
So I think that was again a chance for Alexander to decide.
I think this is winning anyway, though. I mean, the knight is technically trapped on h2.
But it's scary, right? Because the queen is going and the rook is going, and the knight is trapped, but it's gonna sacrifice itself.
Yeah.
For sure.
94,
So now, yeah, you're
picking
kind of-
up
you're-
another pawn, maybe?
You're kind of bound to take this pawn, but rook e8 is annoying, and I'm not sure if you can even save it. Then I think honestly, just he's just not managing to deal with this initiative.
Yeah.
Here. And I think he's just kind of inconsistent. He's grabbing the material in the wrong moments, and he's refusing it in the wrong moments. Sort of. He had some chances, like in the beginning, to get an improved version of the sacrifice, and then he had the chance, obviously, to refute it. And now,
Okay, so he takes on d6.
Oh, wait.
That's very interesting.
this is just winning, maybe.
Winning?
I completely missed this idea because he has so much material.
That's true. Wait, he has like...
And the knight is hanging, and this one is hanging.
Oops.
So he's going to get, but it's not gonna be winning. It's gonna be just very interesting
Yeah, that's
because
true.
he's gonna move this one out of the way, or to d7.
But now knight f7, maybe you can throw in... I don't know.
You can throw in this and go to e5, and then you
Yeah.
win, because this knight will be hanging and this bishop.
Yeah, I mean, either way, you could have just returned to like e6, e4, or just any square now.
Oh, that's true. The knight is trapped.
Yeah.
But check and return to e5 is completely winning.
Knight of what? Oh, you can't take it.
But it's such an unnecessary move because you'll move the queen and you'll threaten it. But
True.
then, I mean, you could move the knight back again, but that was such an easy win. Oh, but no, there was bishop h3 maybe. That was his concern.
Yeah, but like still knight g3. The knight is trapped. No.
Yeah. And if you take, you can take.
Okay, so he goes there first, which is kind of tricky, I guess. Queen takes c3. Okay, h5.
He wants to obviously stop the back rank mate. That's why he plays h5, and this is a useful move. So materially, Adrian is completely winning, but it's blitz.
True. I mean, queen g6.
He's gonna try to, I guess, put the bishop here and the rook here, and say that it's difficult for an. You have to put the bishop here. I think it's too, or maybe the knight.
Yeah, the knight makes maybe even more sense.
But I think this is too slow because although you do have knight g5.
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
kind of fine, right?
It's fine.
Rook e7, just develop the bishop and play rook e1, and
Yeah,
as soon as you consolidate, I mean, you're just winning.
If you get all of those moves, you are winning. But it's difficult because all of the black pieces have been sacrificed. So it's. And f4 is going to be played, I suppose. He goes there.
So he's going to take an h3.
He wishes to take this one. I kind of dislike putting the bishop in the way of the rook. I would have put it on d2 if I were him.
The thing is, there's not really any threat black has, right? But if you just play rook c1, rook c5, rook e5, or like just slow.
And he's going for this. He wants to just bring the rook here.
Okay, I did not see that, but it's not enough.
Alex saw it. It's never enough, and yeah, there are no pieces left.
Right.
So now I'm expecting resignation, but it's Adrian.
He's going to play on.
He's gonna use the last piece he has to checkmate.
Nigel short king walk. Let's go.
But it's +6 in material to Alexander, and now he's gonna launch his own attack very soon. I was about to say, but okay, but this is super stupid. What is he doing? Is he actually about to throw this? There's no way. The move f4 is honestly the most stupid move I've ever seen.
You sure?
This is close to losing.
Maybe. I mean, rook d2.
I mean, maybe it's still winning, but it's such a stupid way to allow counterplay. Why would you allow counterplay like that? It makes
maybe he missed that you could play g4, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose so. But
now rook d2.
Okay, he's in time with rook d2, but still those pawns are.
Yeah, I mean, it's very close. King g2. Whoa, he's allowing. I mean, it doesn't matter.
But the
queen can't really checkmate by itself. It's gotta go.
The pawns are going.
Yeah.
And he has no time as well. Knight. Yeah, he tries to stop the pawns. That's very understandable.
I mean, that looks good, right?
But this is all of a sudden so difficult to play. And he gives g3, and the rook is gonna fall.
Oh, damn. I mean, it's not enough.
Mate!
Oops.
Maybe.
Oh, that's smart. Like king f8.
What? No, but
king
knight d7.
Oh, right. I
and now it's okay. Now I think, and he still doesn't resign.
I mean,
there was a meeting one.
Okay, now he's got to exchange queens. Now he's got to resign, right? That means if Alexander.
No, he doesn't resign.
Okay, if Alexander wins the next one, he is going to win the entire match.
Wow, but what a game that was, and he almost blew it with the.
This matchup is so even as well.
Yeah. So now, are we expecting bishop b5 against e5 this time?
Who knows?
Or is he going back to the knight c3?
I wouldn't be too surprised if he plays something really strange.
Yeah, I think he's gonna try to do something desperately in order to win the game, and he goes for this one again. We already saw him beat Alex the first game with this line. I'm expecting bishop c5 now. I think the knight c6 move is just a verse version, but he plays it, which means he's probably prepared this line and he knows about this line.
Yeah.
But I don't get why he would throw these moves in.
So bishop d2, right? That's what he played last time.
Yeah, that was his choice last time. And how was he even? Did he win this game last time?
He got a winning position, but he lost.
Yeah,
right?
he lost.
It was I forgot which game it was.
It was the first game.
Yeah, I know that, but
and they have exactly the same so far.
Yeah.
For Alexander and exactly the same.
But he didn't go for b4. Oh right, it was the game where instead of playing just c3 to consolidate, he took on c5 and allowed bishop c7.
And the pawns dropped.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't be too surprised if he goes b4 to prevent that idea, but what do I know? I feel like he's looked at this position and the naked eye b4 looks very logical, but perhaps if you've analyzed this, b4 is not very
He played typical. This king h1 move last time as well, I think.
Yeah.
If I don't remember incorrectly. And against it, I think Alexander answered with
bishop f5, knight h4, bishop e6, right? And then bishop
Yeah.
d3.
Right, something like that.
And then queen d7, queen g5.
Yeah, and I sort of dislike that, and I'm expecting Alexander to choose something differently this time, simply because that is not the way to go. I think maybe he's gonna. I don't know really. It's honestly a bit unpleasant to be black here. I don't get why you would be so interested in playing such.
He goes bishop f5. they think the same as the same amount of time as they did first.
Yeah, but he's probably looking to mix something up, and then he decides not to. But so they have exactly the same as the first one.
But
so
throwing b4, why not? Okay, to be fair, e2 is hanging, but you play knight e2 here, I guess.
He
or
does
knight,
throw in b4.
Yeah, knight e2. Now on a5, maybe you just go c3 or something along those lines.
But you could have also gone c3 against the c5 break, so it doesn't actually gain him that much. And a5 immediately.
On the other hand, like, these pawns do a really good job of restricting this b6
But the problem
bishop.
is, like, if you play c3 and I take, just some moment, if you take with the pawn, I'm able to change rooks. And if you take with this pawn, d4 pawn will be weak.
But is it really that big of a problem to exchange rooks along the a file?
Not now, but I'm thinking, like, if I'm waiting for you for a moment, because as soon as you go rook f2, I'm taking this pawn. And it's very difficult to bring this second rook into the game. So that's why probably he goes here immediately, but now the rook is of course ready to get a little bit of counter. If I were black, I would definitely try to bring the bishop back as he did last game.
Yeah.
Because this bishop is a spectator, especially after c3, and that's what he does as well. He's looking to bring the bishop to d8. He might do it now, but also if as soon as the queen lands on g5, the bishop goes to d8, and you eyeball knight g6, and it's very difficult for white to keep attacking from there. But basically, Adrian has to win this game with the white pieces, because if he loses, it's over.
Yeah, and if he draws, he can't win the match, meaning he will at best come shared first in the group.
Yeah, right.
And then it will be down to game points, and I think
probably Adrian is better there because he had that
5-0
huge
right?
crash against Xhembulla.
That's true.
So he's probably happy with the drawn match, but obviously you're always looking to win all your games, especially in such a unimportant tournament as this one. You're not looking for tying the match. You're going for winning everything, and I think he's doing a very good job so far. Knight is gonna come to f5, and this bishop has just not managed to find a good home yet. He's gonna break with f6, but the question is if he's gonna be able to do it in time.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love for the knight to occupy that 5 square, so maybe I'll just move my bishop to vacate that f5 square and put my knight there. On the other hand, I'm not sure where. Perhaps on d3, h3, maybe even b1 to prevent rook a2, I guess. But it's kind of strange. I don't know.
Yeah, I would have. This rook e3 move feels a bit weird to me. I would have done, as you said, bishop b1 or bishop d3 probably.
Yeah. To
keep the bishop on this nice juicy diagonal here, but also getting the knight to f5 because now.
I mean, queen f2 moving out of the pin. I guess it's very logical.
Obviously, black is. Oh, but that's a good move. You're activating the rook because obviously it looks like the rook is just completely hanging, but queen takes e3.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, black has managed to exchange some pieces, which is
knight h4. Okay, I forgot the f5 bishop was defended, but still.
No, but it's not. Queen f4.
Oh, takes, and
so
then
you gotta
rook f1. Yeah, queen h5.
But the problem is.
Oh wait, you take on f5, and then rook a1 is made.
Oh shit.
Ooh, I think Alexander won this match.
Yeah, he won it now because the queens are gone, meaning no counterplay ever.
Yeah. Wow.
But he keeps playing. But now g2 is also falling. And you can always play g6. He's gonna look to checkmate with that. And honestly, if you play g6, check, it does work.
I mean, now he's he's sacking g7. Why?
But he had to.
He had to?
Or I mean,
knight g6.
Yeah, knight g6. I don't know why he didn't play knight g6. He's looking to play rook a1.
All right. But still, like, take on g7. You gotta go king h8, and then rook takes f7.
Yeah,
like
I don't know why he's thinking now.
Yeah.
He plays that. And he
Because if you manage to play knight f6 here, it's kind of a problem.
So you gotta bring the rook down, I suppose.
Yeah, king g1 after that.
Oh, but it's... No, it's not, mate.
No, unfortunately.
You have to play rook e1.
Rook a1, king g1, and you're threatening knight f6, right? And the bishop on c7.
How? This is just...
And you can't go bishop d8 as well, because...
Yeah. But knight g6 here is such a easy win.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he gives that up. And he's thinking now. What?
But c7 is hanging. But then But he can't go rook a2, because rook f8, right? That's winning.
What? I think he missed that his bishop was hanging.
I don't know, maybe he didn't find
And now he's gonna lose this game.
No
There's
way!
No way he's
That's
gonna lose
insane.
this game.
Okay. He's gonna be so mad if he manages to lose the
it's
next
over.
one.
Knight f6. It's over.
It is? I mean,
You're pawn down.
Oh, that's true. That e-pawn is very menacing.
I mean, you had a
Why is he thinking though?
clean piece up without queens.
Yeah.
And I was saying, like, there's no way, you can't screw this up because there's no queens. So there's...
Time to resign, Adrian, and then he just wins. And like, he was maybe even winning in that game where he had a queen for like all the pieces in the entire world. So
that's just so, like, how? I just don't get it.
Yeah, I guess it's useful to not resign then. You gotta look out for stuff. I guess you go knight f5 and then try to push the e6 pawn. But no, he was scared of.
I mean, this is still not now. It's not easy for white to win this because the black pieces are very active. I'm not sure if he's actually gonna, but obviously he has.
He's got 1 second left, you know.
He has
knight f4.
King h4. Yeah, king h4.
Yeah, wait. Now he might be losing
because the pawn is dropping.
Okay, rook e3 though. Knight f4. I'm kind of more scared of.
He plays. Oh, so yeah, you had to block this one, but he didn't take the pawn and he didn't achieve anything with. So he refused the pawn.
It's very...
Oh, but now it's over. Rook f7. And then you push the pawn. So you gotta bring the rook in at that moment. You gotta play knight f5 and then you gotta bring...
But knight g3 stuff as well. You gotta look out for that.
And now we lost connection as well, which is kind of...
But 95, okay.
Yeah, 95
we can't see. I hope the game isn't over as soon as we've...
It might be. Because we're not managing to refresh either.
Yeah, I'm very confused.
That was kind of the worst moment to...
Yeah. Okay, so that's really weird. Wait, let me... Oh, white won apparently? Okay, let me go into here and then press watch. Hopefully the
so
board
Adrian
isn't
won.
Weird now.
It's incredible that he won that game. That's just actually incredible. How did he win that game?
That's insane.
So he wins.
Wow.
And we have a tied game. 3.5, 3.5. Next person to win wins the match.
So we've got like a 4 knights Scotch reversed.
4 knights got reversed. That's a interesting opening to play when you're playing for a win like this.
And now castle perhaps. I mean,
yeah, and he's gonna. Okay, he's taking.
So they exchange queens. It seems.
But isn't this just? What?
I just think black is better, but
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, because like usually you get this structure, but black has been forced to like take like with the bishop on c3.
Yeah, true.
And you take back. Now we have the favorable structure on the queen side from the exchange Spanish or the Berlin.
Yeah.
But black's got both the bishops.
I don't know.
Very strange stuff. Incredibly strange. This match is really...
It's not that strange compared to other Adrian matches. To be fair. It's probably the most normal one.
Yeah. Yeah, and he chooses a normal setup. I would expect Adrian to be wide in this or something, but...
Yeah, okay, so maybe just...
So he just wants a game, I suppose. Play with the d1.
I would probably remove my queen from the d file, perhaps queen e8, trying to...
I mean, he's gonna do his typical kingside attack.
Yeah, of course. You gotta look out for queen e4 stuff, but right now you just play like
F5.
g6 or f5 unless...
f5 and e4.
Oh, right, that's just winning immediately.
Yeah. And that's the problem with this.
Whoa.
I think this is a clever decision because you gotta try to do something.
Yeah, and you're kind of taking a hold of this f5 square.
Yeah, you would like to do that, but the problem is you have too few pawns on this side. Black can always try to kick you out of there, and it's without if you had a pawn on e4, it would be a different story. But that pawn is on c3.
Yeah.
And that makes it very difficult to, because black will just slowly start pushing you out.
Yeah.
And expand.
Well,
and I think white is just clearly worse already. From a strategic point of view. Because now,
on the other hand, that queen is kind of like, where is it supposed to go?
Yeah, bishop d5, for example.
Yeah, I guess that's the option.
If you trade now, you're just, as soon as you go to an endgame with this structure, you're gonna be incredibly unpleasant for if you're playing white here. And I mean, he goes for it, but the problem is as well, there's no benefit really.
Yeah.
It would be one thing if you had like the bishop pair, you would have some benefits. But now he just drops a2 as well. I think he's just tilting after the last loss. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean that's very plausible.
Do you think he's gonna want to do something?
This reminds me kind of if you remember Antonin's Margina, she completely tilted after her time loss when she was supposed to win the match. Then she won anyway, but she was totally losing.
Do you think you can try to sort of keep the queen out of play? Yeah, exactly. With c4, I would have done it with b3, but c4, and then the idea is queen to g4, drumming up pretty serious play.
What happens if you just take on b2?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he didn't play b3 with the same idea, but let's see. He had c5 as an idea as well.
Oh, right.
So rook d8 is a very clever move. Because that's a really strong move. Wow. That's really, really smart. Because you get rid of this annoying rook, and now it's game over almost. I've said that a bit too many times.
Yeah, it's never game over in this game.
It's never game over, but it is game over objectively. Because you're just down a pawn for nothing.
True.
And there's still this. You still have those.
But let's say c5 here.
Let's drop the bishop. Maybe to e7 is
rook d1. I mean, you're obviously gonna be worse, but
b5.
Yeah, you got some counterplay practically at least, because you're defending b2, you're threatening b7. Yeah, queen d5 is probably the best, but it's not. Okay, maybe queen a5 here.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, queen a5 was probably a good try. Now b6 and...
Yeah, b6 is very annoying, because you can't take or push the pawn.
Pushes a6. Yeah, that also makes sense, because queen a5, I just drop back to c6 maybe.
b6, he's sacrificing this
but
a6, but he's winning the c5 one. He's gonna take with the bishop, of course.
It's just the pawn up. And it's just...
And
he has a better position as well. I mean, I would have taken black with the pawn on a2 as well.
True.
So he's gonna try to mix things up with queen a7 here, but even bishop d6, just keeping it all very solid and protected.
Yeah, or you can just exchange the bishops. Should be fine too.
But bishop d6 makes more sense because now everything is protected. There's
and also rook a8 is kind of a problem.
Rook a8 is somewhat of a threat. So he plays rook a1. But I mean, it's so difficult to even find counterplay, and with the time, I think Adrian is miraculously he's gonna win the match.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's not even. I would have resigned if I was in his situation. I would have already lost the match.
To be fair, this is probably less losing than the last game. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, I mean, but
neither of the kings are weak, so that's kind of the problem, I guess.
But the white king is weak.
I mean, okay, the black king isn't particularly weak, and that's really the only thing that matters here. So we've got this, I guess, just queen f3. You're threatening g3. So he's holding on for dear life. This is not going to end well, I don't think. h5, h4.
And now he's just gonna throw this. And now he's gonna take this maybe and collect the bishop.
Smart. Just look out for king f1, but there's rook d1 and stuff.
He's gonna get this one, which is good.
Yeah, that's true. G1 is hanging, but so is d8. So yeah. I'm not sure what I think of this h5 move. Maybe it's a bit unnecessary, but on the other hand, checkmate is
checkmate.
almost.
You can't stop it.
I mean, you can play g4, but it doesn't really help.
But then you take with the pawn and it's checkmate.
Oh right, I forgot about that.
So it's over. You gotta try to interpose with the queen, but then you go for the. That's incredible. How did he win that?
Just gotta look out for the pass pawns, you know.
So he pushes his first.
Man,
Queen g2.
Queen d3 maybe?
Queen d3. But king e6. Queen e2. But now he's...
Oh, he should have gone queen g2, I think.
Queen d2 was much better.
Okay. Yeah, wow.
Whoa.
That's insane. Oh. Should we ask them?
Yeah. Let's try to ask them.
Unmute.
Whoa, what happened there? Let's see if they can hear us.
Yeah, I can.
Hi.
Hello.
We can start with you, Adrian. What were your thoughts about that position when you lost the piece?
Under the piece.
Yeah, you blundered the piece and then you somehow won anyways.
Yeah. Well, blitz is blitz, I guess. I think he played the better match, but yeah.
I mean, it was a very...
Yes, I'm pretty lucky at times.
Yeah. Alexander, what are your views? He's maybe fixing something.
I mean, I probably got unlucky. I don't know. It's funny. I did not even see rook g7, and after that, I mean, the match is over. I can't recover mentally, but I thought I was outplaying him every endgame, and yeah, generally I thought if I don't lose tactically, I'm just better at endgames, and it sort of happened, but it just didn't work out after I played rook a8, which is quite bad. But it's good, I guess. It's okay.
Yeah. So you guys ended up either way, first and second place in the group. And this was a very even matchup. One of the most even so far. Only 1 point separating you two guys. So yeah, I just want to say well played.
Yeah, well played, and we'll see you guys in the playoffs starting very soon.